And the reason that we are teaching microorganisms is this is one of the lessons that when they were making their trips across the state, from the state office, they came and watched me teach this with Patricia. I'm going to probably throw something out there, and some of you may be familiar with it and some of you may not be. Susan just asked me, when do I teach this? Well, I teach it according to Patricia's curriculum map. And if you don't know what a curriculum map is, I would highly recommend that you go and meet with your teachers and get their curriculum maps. That is what they're going to teach for the year. And then she and I also communicate back and forth a good bit, so I will know exactly where on her curriculum map she is. I'm either introducing a lesson for her or wrapping a lesson up for her. And the one thing that she shared at lunch that I was not familiar with is that she takes the CRCT scores from the year before, looks at them, and then that's why my focus areas may change just a little bit every year. What we put emphasis on, why we do change it and present it at different times of the year, so we can know that focus on where it needs to be. So I really am guided by her curriculum map. And then lots of communication. I work really closely with her. She and I truly team teach. She is not one of those teachers that sits behind her computer when I come in there. She is fully engaged with me and the kids, and just, it's a great partnership that we have. Now, this setup is not typically how we would do it in the classroom, but what we decided to do is just to make things a little bit easier on me. I usually have a whiteboard. It's usually very interactive with the kids and fast-paced and moving. I do have a PowerPoint that just kind of shows you what we do, and I made a copy of the PowerPoint for you. So if you wanted to take notes or if you have questions, you could just jot it down. So I'm going to go into my 4-H role, and you are going to be my 5th grade students. Okay?
Is your PowerPoint online?
I can send it to you. I have a list, and if you would like it, feel free to contact me, because I don't use it in the classroom, because I make it as interactive as I can, and I'm in there for a full block with her, and that's 2 hours. So this is a very condensed version of what we normally do, because we get into bacteria, we cover it all. But for today, we're just going to be talking about microorganisms, which is the focus of the agri-science curriculum. So.
Okay.
And the State Department has a curriculum map online, so if you need to go to the Department of Education website, you can download the curriculum map for your grades, and that kind of gives you a guide as to how you can follow along with the teacher as well. I do use the one that is provided by the state. There is an alternative curriculum map that you can use, but I use the one that's the longer version. I've used both, but I like the first one. So Miss Angie and I work really, really closely together, and I value her as a teacher. She is a teacher when she comes into our classroom. I think I encourage you to encourage your teachers to work with you. We all know that when 4-H is happening, what are most of your teachers doing?
Sleeping.
Making copies.
Yeah, they use you as time off, and I feel like that's I think that's not a very good service to you guys. So I try really, really hard, and she's with me to help her and to work with her. And you trying to get those teachers to buy in by using their curriculum map. If you're teaching you're helping them. You can actually teach a lesson that they would have to teach. So if you have that buy-in with them, I promise you they will be more engaged with you. So I just kind of had to throw that in.
Now, the curriculum map is on the Georgia website. Does every school have to go by that curriculum map? Or
In the state of Georgia, they are supposed to. And the reason that came about, you have children moving from county to county. So, it just makes it so nice when they come from Emmanuel County to Candler County or wherever all over the state of Georgia. If that teacher is actually following that curriculum map, when they come into your classroom, they should be on the same page that you are, or either somewhere close. It kind of broadens that gap of information, so that...
Well, I just know one of my teachers, 5th grade teachers, said they would not talk about forestry first. It had changed.
working, and our teachers are like, no, you can't change it, we do it this way, and I'm like, but your curriculum map says that you should be doing this earlier, and they're like, no, we want it the way your 4-H has always done it. So sometimes agents in counties have laid groundwork previous to whatever you're teaching, and they don't want to change it, because that's like,
They're used to
Well,
it.
if they're doing a 5th grade forestry lesson, they're not going by 5th grade curriculum, because we don't teach that in 5th
I say
grade.
forestry, but it's not forestry, it's about the
Plant
different types
ID.
of plant ID.
Classification.
Yeah, plant
Oh, classification,
So
like
used to,
genus,
they
function,
always do
genus,
that at the beginning of the
function.
year. Well,
Right.
she told me this year, said, oh, no, we've changed. We aren't doing that at the beginning of the year now. So that's why I didn't know if it was, when you said across the whole state of Georgia.
In our county, it's non-negotiable.
Okay.
We have to follow the curriculum guide, and we actually had to create our own units, and 4-H is in my unit, because I actually have it listed 4-H Angie microorganisms.
that would be nice.
So, I mean, it just makes my life easy. She's helping me. Why would you not want you guys to come in and help? I don't know. I only know what we do in our county, and with us, it is definitely a non-negotiable. So we have to follow it.
And the other thing, you will see, Patricia has her science standards all over her classroom. So I reinforce the standard by putting it on everything that they get from me. If it's a science-related lesson, then they're going to have their standard on their lesson. So for today, we're going to be talking about microorganisms. And the standard is students will relate how microorganisms benefit or harm larger organisms. You're going to be able to identify beneficial microorganisms and explain why they are beneficial. We also call that helpful. So on some of my stuff, you will see it called helpful. They use beneficial. We make sure, Tricia and I really stress that those two words are interchangeable. They mean the same thing.
Angie wanted to change all of our helpful words to beneficial. I said, no, don't do that, because that teaches a cross-curriculum type thing.
In all of our lessons, it says helpful. The standard states beneficial. So just for your information, teachers will be using beneficial. And identify harmful microorganisms and explain why they are harmful. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of brainstorming real quick. So, what is microorganisms? When you hear that word, what does it mean to you? And y'all can give me what y'all think it means. Small.
Something you have to use a microscope for.
All right, small. So they can't be seen with your eyes, is that right? You
Right.
use a microscope.
Germs.
Oh, yes. Every 5th grader will tell you that it is germs.
I get bacteria and virus.
Very good.
Nematodes.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one in a long
I
time.
hadn't heard that one. That's a good one. Nematodes. I haven't heard that one, okay. And someone else said something. Oh, seen with a microscope.
And that's also a part of our standard as well, being able to use the microscope.
And this is something I stole from Patricia, so this was not an original idea. Look at the word. What does micro mean? Micro means tiny. And what does an organism mean? What is a living thing. That's right. So a microorganism then is a tiny living thing. So then this big ugly word, all of a sudden they go, oh, and the light bulb comes on. And that's kind of cool to see that, oh, that's not such a bad word after all. It's a tiny living thing. All right, so get out your blue pieces of paper that I gave you, and y'all don't have to, but the kids would then start filling out what are microorganisms. They are so tiny that they can't be seen with your eyes, and I've underlined the words that I want. They can put this any way they want to, as long as tiny is on there somewhere. So we talk about that. Those are the key words that I have underlined. Must be seen with a microscope. They are everywhere. They are all around us. They're inside us. They're on us. They're in our food. They're in our homes, and they're in the air we breathe and the water we wash in. And all of a sudden, you hear everybody go,
Ew.
gross. And it is kind of gross. And so sometimes you just have to go to a happy place and not think about, okay, this can get really disgusting when you think about it.
But
They
the
can
rest
be
of it is
helpful.
the better 5th graders like it, y'all know that, right?
They can be helpful, they can be harmful, but they are very important to life on Earth. So, let's take a closer look. We're gonna do an experiment.
Yay!
Yay! These are in. They're in there. All right, we're gonna get y'all to share, okay? Yeah. How many do you have?
That's it for mine.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Angie, can we get some folks to come down on the floor? The tables are really
The tables are very clean, we found out. So Miss Amanda's coming down. Anybody else want to? Okay. Miss Susan.
I'll get you to like these two tables.
Miss Susan.
Yay, the tables are clean. That's good.
They are very clean. In our last class, we found out that we got just a little bit of microorganisms off of it, but not a lot. At school, I'm in there for the full block, so we will do it 3 times during the day, and they're black every single time they do it. The same tables have been washed down all day long, and from first block to third block, consistent. You're going to see in just a second. You'll see what they ever try to cheat. Miss Susan, are you down there?
Okay, this is what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to take your white and lay it flat on your surface. And if you'll come and take your hand, give me a high five. And then you're going to place your hand on the white so that if you'll just place your hand there. Okay? And then we set a timer. And your hand is flat, so the key is not to lift your hand until we say lift your hand. So you're going to be wiping the whole time. Is everybody ready? All right, go. Go. And usually we'll put a little timer on. The kids are going crazy in the classroom. The classroom is in disarray. And this is when you as an agent will say, hey, can you help me with crowd management skills at this time? And you ask the teacher to be involved with you as well. So that's another way. Okay, stop. Okay, lift your wipe from your surface and hold it up.
Yeah, we wiped this table down last class.
Okay, everything's pretty clean around here. This is not helping our lesson, but
But you can still see it.
that's a very good thing.
The way this is.
Okay, but you can see a complete handprint. That's what you're really awesome to see.
Is a
I
hand.
think I threw the others away. You can see a complete blackened handprint. And it shows the children that microorganisms are everywhere. And we actually do this 3 times a day. And you would be so surprised at how nasty they are, even in between periods, with the children touching the desk and everything.
Touching their mouths.
Yeah, everything. So, but anyway, everything is just too clean around here.
Eagle's pretty clean. We need to
I
go to
know,
cabinets.
right? I know. So I
Cabinets.
guess,
I don't want you to think that everything out here is that clean.
so should we say kudos University of Georgia? Way to go.
I'm sure.
Okay, go dogs.
The Arch would appreciate hearing that.
All right, so 5th graders, they want little cutesy facts. So here we go. We have some interesting facts. In 1 single teaspoon of garden soil, there are over 100,000 microorganisms. On your hands, there are more microorganisms than there are people in the world. There are so many microorganisms that scientists have only named about 0.5% of them. Microorganisms outnumber all other species and make up most of the living matter on the planet. You're getting the oohs and the ahs, and because that's what they're into right now. All right, I do briefly, because Patricia has either talked about this or will talk about it after I leave, that there are 3 types of microorganisms. There is bacteria, commonly seen in strep. There are viruses, like the rotavirus, and then there's fungi or fungi, however you say it, like mold. And then there's pictures, and she's also talked about the shapes of them and all of that. So that's why I have the pictures on there, because they will have seen the pictures or will be getting ready to see the pictures.
We also talk about single-celled organisms and multi-celled organisms, so that's another opportunity for her to help me. So she's reinforcing what I've already taught.
All right. I did not know how to add the Common Core this year, because science is not one of the ones they've rolled out yet. But Patricia and them have been through the Common Core, how to introduce that in your lesson. And so what we did is we added textbook time, because part of the Common Core is that they do research. So they get out their textbooks and they're charged with finding all the helpful microorganisms and all the harmful microorganisms that they can find in 10 minutes. And we turn on a timer and they go quiet in the room.
But you could easily have like just a handout, like a
Yes.
reader, or
Yes.
anything that you pull off.
Anything. And that worksheet is what they're gonna be that's what they're filling out.
Do all fifth grades in the state use the same textbooks?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
No.
My school system
Ours-
doesn't have textbooks.
Well, in all essence, this year, the first year, I didn't give out my textbooks. We have a workbook, which is a consumable workbook, and we use that as our textbook. Most classrooms are going to not using textbooks, which,
Because of the literary standards in the Common Core, they're adding like readers and books,
They are, you're right.
literacy texts.
And there again, it's another great way for you to work with your teacher and say, okay, I want to add this Common Core component into my lesson. What is the best way for me to do that? Patricia and I, that was the best way for she and I to add the Common Core into this particular lesson, was for them to research it in their textbooks.
And we do that with Barrier Islands, when she comes in and does the beach in the box thing with me, and she brings in the worksheets and has them to read, and, she's wonderful.
All right, remember, don't let germs sink you. Now, I know Wash Your Paws, Georgia, is the big University of Georgia campaign. And the reason we elected to go this route was because of this fabulous board that was done for us. Patricia's daughter was a science, health and promotions major. And she did this for one of her classes. And so we just have kind of stayed with that theme about sinking the boat and washing your germs down the sink. So we're tying it all back together. I do mention Wash Your Paws, Georgia at the very end of the lesson, and they have all the signs in their bathroom. And I just tell them, there's lots of different campaigns that you're going to hear about washing your hands. The most important thing is that you get the take-home message. It's important to wash your hands, So we talk about that.
And with this, Elisa did these little things, and she was required to come into the classroom, so she actually came into a day that she was at the University of Georgia, and she worked it out with a professor to come in when Angie was there. So it was a cool opportunity for the kids to see University of Georgia, and my daughter, who also was at the University of Georgia, sharing the same message. And they weren't able to do the Wash Your Paws campaign with their posters, so they had to come up with their own. So Mommy was proud, and I wanted to keep it. So
And the same information that's on the PowerPoint is on their handout, is on the board. So they're getting it just over and over and over again in lots of different ways. Of course, y'all know how, you know how to wash your hands. The only thing that I've added is to say the 4-H pledge twice. Just anytime I get a chance to add 4-H or green and white back into my lesson, somehow I do it. So they can sing happy birthday twice or say the 4-H pledge twice. And you have to understand, I start with these kids in the 4th grade. So by the time I get them in the 5th grade, they know the 4-H pledge. This may be a lesson that you may have to teach at the end of the year when they've had some practice with the pledge. All right. In our school system, I stepped on some toes to begin with, and so Patricia and I had to meet, and she was like, I can't do that anymore. We're supposed to wash our hands. You're supposed to wash your hands with warm soapy water, doggone it. And she sent these kids to lunch one day, and they didn't wash their hands. They put hand sanitizer on. I said, well, what's wrong with that? She said, well, they're doing it in all. Even if you don't have to go to the bathroom, go wash your hands. Just go in the bathroom and wash your hands. Every opportunity you get through the day, even if you don't have to go to the bathroom, go wash your hands. It's just good practice for y'all. They love for me to tell the story that I do not touch a doorknob in a public restroom, ever, ever. And I'm not the most agile woman in the world, but I can pretty much get my hand or my foot up above my head to bash that doorknob down if I can't get anything else to it. Because I'm not going to touch a doorknob in a public restroom. And they're like, why, Miss H, why? Because not everybody washes your hands, and I do not know where that doorknob is being. Okay? They're like, well, what about that doorknob? And I thought, I hadn't thought about that. It's just going to make me a complete crazy person if I start thinking about that.
Oh, the way they rub on handrails.
But we talk about that. That's why they've added the trash cans on the outside of the bathrooms, and that's why they've done this. And just to be cautious on those shared spaces, to really, be careful. And then we do the traditional hand sanitizer versus washing your hands versus not doing anything. Experiment with the blow gel. I do have these cute little black light flashlights
Oh, I haven't seen
that
those.
make them very portable.
Where'd you get them?
We ordered them online, I think from Steve Spangler, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Angie, you want me to show them how well it works?
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause I would like to see how do you do that with the kids? That's what.
I usually get 3 volunteers
Oh, you have
up here
about
with
3
me,
do it.
and I do 3. But Tricia and I have the powder that we use, okay? And the kids love it. And we go up there and we're like, "What you doing, Susan? Are you having a good day?" My black children love it the most because they're gonna glow in the dark before I even turn off the lights, and that's just
We
funny
touch
to them.
arms.
But I'm touching
How are
them.
ya?
I said, "You know how you
So
girls
glad
come
you
up
could
and
come
hug
today."
each other?" And we really get a lot of powder on us, and we really powder them up. Now, that is not like baby powder. I do not do the baby powder and the tennis balls because of all the
Yeah, it works
allergies,
really
all the
well.
asthma kids that we're starting to see. I just phase that right on
So what do you use?
out. This is just the dry
They can't see
blow
it.
gel.
It really
You can see it on me. Patricia and I do the powder, and we're the ones walking around the room and touching the desk and just showing them powder, just the powder, blow gel powder.
And
Blow
another
germ.
thing that I'd like to jump in and say, that, you know, like we've already talked about being a free period for a teacher, this is a time that you can ask your teacher to, "Hey, can you help me with this activity?" You could actually ask the teacher to put the gel on her hand and then actually go and wash her hands and, you know, start with baby steps. you
My
know.
teachers love this lesson. I've had teachers actually, because I put it on my officers at the beginning and let them pass out papers, and we've had to get on the teachers. They make the teachers see if they glow, and the teachers glow from the kids touching them.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful.
They love making fun of their teachers.
Yeah, and you know what, and like I said before, I really would like to just say that I value you guys coming into the classrooms and getting your teachers involved.
I have a question. Why did you decide to use the powder and not the glow lotion?
On the lotion, we put on the kids.
Okay.
On the powder, just she and I use,
Okay.
because we can spread it
Okay.
And we
fast.
order that
And-
on the website.
Yes.
And with kids, with asthma and things like that, you wouldn't want to use the powder as well, so.
When you're cleaning it, you're just showing them how much dirt's there.
Just
And then
everywhere.
that does not go, you don't use that with the glow gel at all.
No,
It's
that's
showing
just
you.
showing them that microorganisms are everywhere.
Do that every kid do that?
No, I usually do it there in tables,
Okay.
like tables like this pushed together, so it's 1 or 2 per table.
Okay.
And you don't have to use the expensive wipes, that's just happened to be what I had at my office. Patricia, every time I come in there with the high dollars, she's like, "You could use the cheap ones, you could use that."
That's what I use. If you have to buy it yourself, you buy the cheap
Yeah,
ones.
that's what I
I mean,
Well,
you
I
know.
wonder if there's a reason why.
No, there was no reason, it just happened to happen.
And actually, the cheaper ones work just as well, because, you know, they're not as thick, and they're fine.
Well, thank y'all so much for coming. If you would like the PowerPoint or anything, just email me. I'm Angie@uga.edu. Angie.
You want them to put their
Or,
name here?
yeah, well, I think I kept them too late, so just Angie@uga.edu. Just tell me that you took this class and you need something from me, and I'll try to get it to you.